Appreciate everybody jumping on this afternoon for a very important announcement here by Rev Entertainment, Globe Life Field. So we have certain members, certain speakers that are here live at Globe Life Field, and we have a couple of speakers that are also here on Zoom with you. When we're done with the formal part of the program, we'll be happy to take question and answers following that. So we'll get started here. If you got the release for this event will be going out as soon as we make the official announcement. You'll get a logo sheet, and you'll also get a schematic of Globe Life Field in a wrestling format. So with that, I'll turn over to the president of Rev Entertainment, Sean Decker.
Good afternoon. Thanks, John, and thank you all for joining us today. As we began design on Globe Life Field more than 4 years ago now, all of our discussions revolved around building the world's greatest ballpark. In addition, the vision was set from ownership that we had to build something so much more than just the latest and greatest ballpark. We had to build a world-class event center. Since opening last year, we've just begun to scratch the surface in executing some of the most recognizable events in the sports and entertainment industry. Last year, we hosted many events, from Major League Baseball's World Series to the Wrangler National Finals Rodeo. Globe Life Field is one of the most active buildings in the world. This year, countless more events have been executed, including the State Farm College Baseball Showdown. We also had the first stop of the Hella Mega Tour featuring Green Day, Fall Out Boy, and Weezer, Chris Stapleton. And in just a few weeks, we'll have the Lockheed Martin Commanders Classic presented by USAA, which will feature Army and Air Force and football. Today, I'm so excited to announce another flagship event for Globe Life Field. Bout at the Ballpark, February 12th, 6:30 p.m., featuring the Oklahoma State Cowboys against the Iowa Hawkeyes and USA Wrestling against Iran in two duels that will celebrate four of the most iconic brands in wrestling worldwide. Bout at the Ballpark will be the first international event hosted at Globe Life Field, and tickets go on sale to the general public on Thursday, October 14th at 10 a.m. Central Time. Tickets can be purchased at texasrangers.com/wrestling. To stage this first of its kind event at the ballpark, we will place two mats between the mound and second base, and we'll add seating on the floor to increase capacity. We'll also add a stage to elevate the mats to improve sightlines around the ballpark. The event will have trusses suspended from the roof that will allow for world-class production on the mats. Bout at the Ballpark will be carried exclusively on Flow Wrestling. For more information on the broadcast, you can go to flowwrestling.org. Flow Sports has been our partner on many events here at Globe Life Field, and we're excited to partner with them once again. I'd like to start by thanking our owners Ray Davis and Neil Liebman for their unwavering support and passion to bring world-class events to the Arlington Entertainment District. I'd also like to thank Chad Weiberg and Coach John Smith at Oklahoma State, along with Rich Bender and Pete Isaias at USA Wrestling, for their dedication to creating this neutral site of celebration of the great sport of wrestling. They've been great partners every step of the way, and we're excited to just be getting started in our partnership with them. For the duels, we'll start with a sellable capacity of 27,000 with the ability to expand if needed. Tickets start at just $15 and are being sold exclusively online at texasrangers.com/wrestling. With that, I'd like to turn it over to Oklahoma State Director of Athletics, Chad Weiberg, and head coach John Smith to say a few words about the event. Chad was actually the first one to bring the concept to our attention, and he's been nothing but a pleasure to work with for the last year plus on the idea.
Thank you, Sean. And first, I'd like to thank Mr. Davis and Mr. Liebman for the support of the Texas Rangers. We look forward to being in the beautiful new Globe Life Park for this event. And thank you, Sean, to you and your team at Rev Entertainment for putting this unique opportunity together and making it happen. Oklahoma State looks forward to being part of bringing the highest level of wrestling to Texas and to showcase our passionate fan base and our historic wrestling brand. Oklahoma State Wrestling is the most dominant program in U.S. sports history. The Cowboys hold 34 team national championships, more than any other team at the collegiate or professional level. OSU has claimed 55 team conference titles, 143 NCAA individual championships, and 481 All-America honors, all of which rank number one nationally. Oklahoma State wrestlers have made 41 Olympic appearances, winning 11 gold medals and 16 total medals to go along with 19 more medals at the World Championships. The Cowboys hold an all-time dual winning percentage of 89%. And we are fortunate to have John Smith leading this historic program for 30 years. An OSU alum, Coach Smith won 6 consecutive world championships, including gold medals at the 1988 and 1992 Olympic Games. He has led the Cowboys to 5 NCAA national championships. Coach Smith is also a champion for the sport of wrestling. Wrestling is a growing sport in Texas, and I know he is looking forward to bringing the latest annual duel with the current defending national champion Iowa Hawkeyes and Coach Brands to Texas. And with that, I would like to turn it over to Coach John Smith.
Well, thanks, Chad. Thank you for being an athletic director that is behind us, willing to take some risk. It's nice to just have that support. You know, I think one reason why I think that this was a great opportunity for our student athletes is when you see Globe Life Field, what an incredible atmosphere, and just walking around it, just the experience of walking around it and seeing what it offers. Just makes a lot of sense that you need to give your student athletes that opportunity. I mean, what an opportunity. There's so many athletes out there that don't get to experience something like this, and here we're going to have 20 athletes in folk-style wrestling at the NCAA Division I level, and some of the best wrestlers in the world that's going to get to experience Texas and get to experience Globe Life. So for me, it was an easy choice. There was only one guy to ask that I considered just somebody that would understand what we're trying to do, and that was Tom Brands. And knew that Tom would buy into it and understand that we need to continue to do things like this to grow wrestling. So we're excited. We want to say thank you. We look forward to the opportunity, and let's pack the house.
That's great. Thanks, Coach. Next up is Rich Bender, Executive Director of USA Wrestling. Rich and his team have worked tirelessly to partner with and bring Iran on board to make this event a reality. Rich?
Hey, thanks, Sean. And first, I'd like to start off by saying thank you to you and REV Entertainment, and particularly the Texas Rangers, for giving us this opportunity. I can think of no better partner that we could have than your organization. And I mean, just been inspired by your vision to help us just embrace this opportunity, as John said, to grow the relevancy of wrestling, and can think of no better partners to be competing with than, without question, two of the most storied collegiate wrestling programs in the United States in our history, and two Olympic champion coaches. And I mean, I can't think of a better atmosphere than I think some of you witnessed the last time that Oklahoma State and Iowa participated outside at Kinnick Stadium, and the enthusiasm and the environment that was created there, and the lift that gave our sport. And I really excited with just prior to the pandemic, I did a press conference and talked about thinking that wrestling, and this was in March of 2020, that wrestling was on the precipice of its golden age. And I believe that today we are on that precipice. I think this event will mark a great opportunity for us to take the next step forward for our sport. Really grateful to be able to partner with one of the most storied international wrestling programs in history, and that's the Wrestling Federation from the Islamic Republic of Iran, and really excited to partner with them. You know, this is a great example of wrestling transcending politics, and we've had a long history with the Iranian Federation, and you know, they are without question one of the most successful wrestling programs on planet Earth, and really excited for the opportunity to showcase our sport at the very highest level. And Sean, you mentioned neutral site. We hope it's not a neutral site when it comes to USA versus Iran, and really excited about you know, the American wrestling fans being able to get fired up about Team USA and support the athletes as hopefully they bring home some wins. So thank you.
That's awesome. Thanks, Rich. And last but certainly not least, Coach Brands, we're really excited to get you down to Arlington and Globe Life Field and appreciate you being with us today.
Awesome. Appreciate it. We were in from the get-go. Just give us the details we're in. We got the date and here we are. We're at a press conference. This thing's going to go out in the wire. There's going to be a lot of excited fans. Talking about fans, there'll be a lot of Iran fans in that stadium. And so, United States fans have to show up. And I'll tell you what, Hawkeye fans travel well. We'll have our share. And I know you're saying that it's a neutral site. And maybe not so much for Iran, but I believe that it's a home event for those Cowboys. So we're going to need our fans to show up as well. I know those Cowboy fans are going to show up. Awesome environment. My imagination goes to, what we're going to be up against. And that's first and foremost. But if you get into the nicer things in life, so to speak, what a great thing to be a part of. Thank you.
Thank you. And thanks everybody again. Can't wait to see everybody here on February 12th. John?
Okay, you should have the release, everybody that was on one of the many mailing lists. So if you've got questions for any of these gentlemen, please raise your hand because we can't see the screen, obviously. So just raise your hand and we'll call on you. So we'll open it to questions. Okay, we'll start with Joe. Go ahead, Joe.
Will there be any women's international matches, or will they all be men?
I don't know if Rich wants to take that. Rich, could you hear that question?
Sorry.
Sorry, hang on. We're going to give the...
Yeah, the question was, will there be any women international matches, or will they all be men matches?
Well, it's certainly our hope that we will be able to secure some women's matches. We had a lengthy meeting yesterday with our national women's coach, Terry Steiner, and what that looks like in terms of the best opportunity to showcase, the fastest growing sport in women's high school sports, and that's women's wrestling. And so we have every intent to put that discipline on display in Arlington.
Okay, we'll go to Jason Elmquist. Please state your affiliation and your question and who you're directing it to.
Jason Elmquist, Stillwater News Press. This is for both of the college coaches. You guys talked about the impact for wrestling. Just what's the hope that this duel in an area of the country that's producing elite talent at the young level in a state where there's no Division I programs right now can hopefully boost the sport even more so in that state?
The hope is to always grow the sport. The hope is to go and showcase the sport at the highest level. That's been said many times, the highest level of collegiate wrestling. And some of these collegiate wrestlers are the best wrestlers we have in the world, for sure as well. So when you stage something like this in an area like that, Texas USA is a big place for high school wrestling. And, I always think big, and you always hope that, maybe Austin, Texas, all of a sudden they're going to start a Division I program. And, it's been talked about a lot. Will it happen? Let's do it, man. Why not?
Yeah, I agree with Tom. It's just first it's an opportunity for us to showcase our programs, and continue to build fans, continue to build excitement around the sport at a time when it's, as Rich Bender was saying, some real growth in our women's programs across the country. Oklahoma just recently established their first championship, certified championship. Hopefully Iowa's on its way of doing that. But it's first off a great event for us, and second, it's going to create some real interest in the sport. And so I'm just glad that Texas gets to see a Division I wrestling match. That's important, and I think they'll enjoy it.
Okay, we'll go to Cody Goodwin.
Hey guys, this is probably for both the coaches, but John and Tom, I know you guys worked together for the gravel and the gridiron. When did the idea for this specific event at this specific venue when did you guys kick the tires on it?
Well, for us, it was sometime this summer. We got approached by Globe Life Field, and at the beginning, I was a little concerned if it made any sense. And as I really focused on it, it made a lot of sense, and it was something much more than just a dual meet. It was going to give us an opportunity to, really showcase college wrestling, folk style wrestling in Division I, as well as it exposed all of our divisions with Division II and III, NAIA, junior college. We've got a lot of wrestling programs. And so it started this summer, and really coming down and visiting and meeting with the people of Globe Life Field. It just came real easy for me to say, yes, we need to do this. And of course, it was nice to have my athletic director fully behind it and saying that if we wanted to do it, let's go for it.
Yeah, for us, it was, here's the thing. I think it's been alluded to that there's great partnership with two Titan historic programs, and both very relevant today, fighting for the same accolades. And the truth of the matter is when you get invited to something like this, you show up. And it is about competing at the highest level. But then you look at, I talked to Rich Bender about this. They were excited. It really is a global event in a unbelievable facility. I haven't been there. I've heard nothing, but obviously $1 billion buys you awesomeness. But we're excited to be a part of it for those reasons. But the bottom line is when we called John Smith for something that was a little outside the box, there was no hesitation. And when John Smith called me, there was no hesitation.
Yeah, Robert Allen with Pokes Report, Triple Play Sports, and the Cowboy Network. Both coaches, and if people haven't seen these two in the same building, they're being very friendly right here. But boy, it's been fun to watch their teams compete against each other and how much they get into it. But if both coaches would kind of give us a couple of sentences on their teams this year, what they're looking like and what they're excited about with their upcoming teams. And then I got in on this a little late. Is there a television partner to the event, or is that yet to be determined?
Sure. Yeah, I can take the last part of the question there. Yes, our broadcast partner will be Flow Wrestling.
Okay.
As far as Iowa Hawkeye Wrestling, we are benefiting from the COVID relief year, as is everybody. We're excited about that, but there's a lot more storylines inside our wrestling room with our wrestlers, our student athletes, where we have some young guys that they're not sitting around waiting for their turn when these second-time seniors graduate. So we have some great storylines with some young talent, and that's exciting for our fans. It's exciting for our entire program and our coaching staff as well. We know the challenge is laid out. The schedule is always ahead of time. We circle, highlight, emphasize, asterisk certain dates, and this is at the top of the list.
For Oklahoma State, we're excited. We have a deep team. When I say deep, we have confidence that we have a couple of guys at every weight if needed. We are in position to redshirt several of them. I hope by January we'll have our best team on the mat. You may not see it early on because we do have some true freshmen that we need to analyze and give them time to breathe. Let them experience the how tough college wrestling is, and then we'll see in January if they're ready or not. Most likely. So our seniors from last year, we had Dakota Gear come back, which was very important for us. We didn't really get him back until late August, or excuse me, the beginning of August, until he made that commitment, decided, okay, I'm going to take this step and I'm going to come back for a super senior year. We lost 2 seniors that we'd loved to had, but had challenges with injuries and just felt like they needed to move forward. When Bout Llewellyn, All-American Bout Llewellyn, and as well as Cade Brock, really tough careers with injuries, and I think they made good decisions to move on. So it's exciting, and obviously for us to compete against Iowa, I mean, we're going to have to get better. Good team that just got better. It sounds like what he said with some of these young guys not waiting around for All-Americans to hold their spot. That wakes me up, Tom. Thanks. I'm going to go back and share your message to our team that they just got better. So we got to get better.
Okay, we'll go to Andy Hamilton. Please state your affiliation and who you're directing your question to.
Andy Hamilton with Flow Wrestling. Question for both coaches. Obviously, like in the last 10 years or so, we've seen these outside the box dual meets and events come into wrestling. How, in your opinion, have they impacted the sport to this point?
Well, I think just in general, saying we can do this, you know, I think that's important, you know, saying this is something we can do. This is something you can do in high school. This is something, you know, we're seeing a lot of different things across the country, you know, seeing guys, seeing programs put their mat out on the lawn and at the library and in the middle of campus and showing off their sport, you know. Some of those things have been really good. And as we've seen in Division I, since I've been a coach, my 30th year this year, listen, it's better. It's way better. It's way tougher than it was in 1992 when I started. There's a lot more teams that all of a sudden are in the picture of being competitive and can win a trophy. So it's not easier, it's tougher. And it's gotten tougher because of really the importance that some of these institutions have put on recognizing that, hey, we can win All-American honors in this sport at North Carolina or North Carolina State or so forth, you know. So I think that's the great thing is as your sports gets more competitive, it creates interest and it creates situations where you can really go out and do some things like this.
Yeah, and you have great partners with organizers that help that. But the bottom line is, as you go out and you do it, you have athletic directors that understand the importance on your campus of your sport. Wrestling's big time. And, you know, we're not the first. And you know, you look at what, you know, say Beat the Streets in New York and Mike Novogratz did. They were in Madison Square Garden. They were on an aircraft carrier. They were, you know, Lady Liberty. They were on the island of Statue of Liberty running wrestling events. So the biggest thing is that you got college wrestling doing it on their own with great help from, you know, global partners. And when you say global life, but I'm talking about, you know, a world-class facility with Major League Baseball involved as well. I mean, I see that you're thinking ownership and the Texas Rangers. This has a Texas Rangers stamp on it. That's legitimate. And this is college wrestling we're talking about. And it's a message to, you know, Coach Smith mentioned it, but smaller programs to go out and get relevant that way. Awesome.
Okay, we'll go back to Joe from the Ticket in Dallas.
Joe Lecce from the Ticket in Dallas. I think I've got 2 questions. I think the first one's probably for Sean. The 12th is the wrestling regionals here in Texas. Was that considered, and is that, you know, did you try to accommodate that with scheduling so that all the local wrestlers and families have an opportunity to attend?
Yeah, 100%. So I would say definitely the biggest challenge over the since we first started conversations conceptually more than a year ago, just like how to get the schedule. We're familiar with other sports and how especially at the collegiate level how difficult scheduling is. Wrestling was admittedly something I had no idea we were up against schedule wise. But as we started working through it, we had a number of different challenges. We actually looked at, do you do it on that Sunday? Well, that's Sunday Super Bowl Sunday also, so that creates a whole other set of challenges. So we spent a lot of time. Jerry's Ram from our team, and I know Tony and Coach. We talked to the UIL actually here locally. To that, we talked to the Texas High School Coaches Association to get a feel for what impact that would be. It's why we picked 6:30 in the evening. So hopefully we can get through all the regionals as much as we can and have all those folks still be able to get here and enjoy the evening here.
All right, my next question is for both coaches. If you can think back 10, 15 years ago and what your perception of Texas high school wrestling was at that point versus what it is today, I'd be interested in hearing that from both of you.
It's on the rise. It's been on the rise. There's no question about that. I mean, Brandon Slay is an Olympic champion, a Texas native. But I think the talent's getting deeper. The results coming out of Texas are more consistent because of that. It's certainly on our radar to look at the talent in Texas. And that's the thing about wrestling. It's an individual sport. You're going to find pockets everywhere. But in a state like Texas, tell you what, we love being a part of this and to have a presence in Texas and put our brand where it typically isn't there. It's not there much.
Yeah, 15 years ago, as you said, pretty impressive, and it's good to see, that really coaches from all over the country has come in. There's been several Oklahoma coaches moved from Oklahoma to Texas to coach, which was a little disappointing, but understanding. So, every time you turn around, I'm getting a phone call about a coach, needing a coach down here. And I think more impressive, we've seen women's wrestling have a lot of strength. Texas had its first woman Olympic champion. Pretty impressive. Fun to watch, exciting to watch. And so, the growth has helped us all. I had a national champion for the first time last year, 197-pounder, win the NCAA championships, AJ Ferrari from the state of Texas, went to Allen, Texas. Is it growing? Yeah, it's growing. Is it better? Has it helped Oklahoma State wrestling? Absolutely. It's helped Oklahoma State quite a bit.
Thanks, Joe. We'll go to David Bray. Please state your affiliation and who you're directing your question to.
This is David Bray from Flow Wrestling. This question is for Rich Bender. I'm curious, Iran just had a massive resurgence. They were third in the world, 3 champs, 7 medalists, just like the U.S. What kind of a lineup do you expect for the federation from Iran to send to this event?
Well, it's funny you asked that question, and Ali Reza Dabir, who's the current president of their federation, who Tom knows the name really well, to Terry Russell in Sydney. But we had a conversation about this actually this past weekend in Oslo in terms of what who they were going to bring, and he said we're not coming unless we're bringing our best, and so obviously we're talking about one of the best wrestling federations on planet Earth coming to our country. We're going to be there stepping on the tape with our best. So, we have every expectation that it's going to be our number ones against their number ones.
Okay, we'll go back to Cody Goodwin.
Hey, this question's probably for Sean. I was kind of curious, when did this kind of pop into your head as, let's do a wrestling duel at a ballpark? I know that we've probably discussed a little bit just the various, unique platforms that wrestling's been able to do in recent years, but when did this idea first pop into your head?
Well, candidly, it really when Chad called me. So we had looked at a concept. I would say, truthfully, the first time it popped in our head was, years ago when the NCAA put out their national championships, we kind of circled on that, a few things that would make sense for us. And the NCAA wrestling national championship for us was absolutely at the top of that list. We had some conversations with the guys in Indianapolis, and we bid on it and did not get there. But I think for us, this is an opportunity to really show how big wrestling is here in Texas and to get ourselves back in that conversation for future years. We want this to be a huge celebration of the sport. And then I think so that was kind of like the initial thought or concept. And I've considered Chad a friend for quite a few years now. I've knocked on his door with a ton of crazy different concepts over the years. We've talked about a lot of different sports. We've played baseball in both of our facilities with his team and with his coaches there. So he was the one that called and said, "Hey, listen, I've got an idea. What do you think about this?" And then we were able to talk to Rich, and it's just like the pieces kind of just kept falling in place. And like every conversation we had, the idea got a little bit better. And so really thrilled about where it landed.
Okay, back to Jason Elmquist.
Yeah, this is for Chad Weiberg. Obviously, when you take an event off of campus, you're going to get maybe some pushback from fans, especially when it's an event like this. What was the decision behind looking bigger picture, knowing that you might get a little bit of pushback from the fan base?
I think that what Sean has said is right. I mean, I think it started just as an idea. I didn't know that it would have any traction or go anywhere. Obviously, there were as you go from idea to implementation, there's a lot of details that you got to work out. You have to find a willing partner, obviously, and in this case, as we started to work through all of those details, it just kept getting better. With Coach Brands and the University of Iowa agreeing to Rich Bender and USA Wrestling and bringing on Iran, it just kept getting bigger and even more compelling for the sport of wrestling. And I think that's what I appreciate so much about Coach Smith and Coach Brands, and obviously Rich, is just their dedication to growing the sport. And I believe that our fans at Oklahoma State understand that as well. And I think they've heard Coach Smith talk about that through the years, and so they understand the importance of that. And so to be able to bring an event like this into a state like Texas and into a facility like Globe Life Park and with an organization like the Texas Rangers, I think is just too great of an opportunity to pass up.
Any other questions before we wrap up? Okay, well, thank you very much. For those, we will be sending out information. We'll put the total press conference up on our FTP site, and we'll send that information out. So thank you, everybody. Have a great afternoon.